in my mind. How's that going to look? What's it going to... It's something like this. I really don't need to see something. And I work hard to avoid the stores that have something that I can... There might be magazines that I really ought not see. And so I'm not going to go to stores that have those magazines because I don't want to see them. I don't want to be tempted by them. But it could be that Satan knows I'm avoiding it, and so he throws one on the floor before me. And I don't want to see it, but there it is. Now, it starts to play in my mind. Maybe I should pick that up to throw it away. Yeah, I'll just throw it away so no one else sees it. I better not throw it away here. I'll take it home and throw it away. That way nobody's hurt by it. And then once I've picked it up, I might be tempted to look at it. Well, it won't hurt anybody. I mean, it's not real. It's just pictures. If I do that, no one's going to get hurt. And if anybody gets hurt, it's only going to be me. And I don't care if it's just this once. After all, I'm trying to do something good and prevent this litter. And that sounds really stupid, but you know, these are the games we play in our minds. Has anybody lived with that game in your mind? Can you just let me know by raising it? Okay, so there's a couple of you who understand. Yeah, everybody's hand's going up. Because this is what happens, and the devil plants these things in our way, and we encounter them, and then the game begins in our mind. And we're going to make some decisions based on how long we play that game in our mind. And I'm telling you, the longer we play the game, the more likely we are to go down a path of sin. The temptation itself is not wrong. What we do with the temptation often is. And so we have to learn how to overcome this conversation that the devil is going to carry out in our mind. Now here's what the devil's going to do. He's going to try and get me to dwell on that which I don't have. In other words, I'm missing something that I want. And therefore, he is convincing me that I ought to want it, and it's a shame that I don't have it, therefore I ought to go get it. In the garden, when he was dealing with Adam and Eve, he made them concentrate, focus on the only one thing in the garden that was not for them. They had everything else at their fingertips, everything else at their disposal. God had blessed them abundantly. He had not withheld anything from them. He just asked that they stay away from one tree. And so what's the devil come and do? Oh, this one you can't. God must not love you because you can't touch this tree. And instead of focusing on all the glories that are at their fingertips, instead of all the wonder of God's provision, they're focused on the one thing that they don't have permission to eat of this tree. That's what the devil wants to do. Not only does he want you to focus on what you don't have, rather than on the blessings of God, he wants you to focus on the pleasure that you'll be missing out if you don't have it. There are wonderful things that God has created, and they are for our blessing when carried out according to His timetable and according to His plans. The most obvious way of looking at this is God has created the interaction between man and woman in the most wonderful and wonderful of ways. It is God's heart and desire that man and woman come together in marriage and enjoy the fullness of relationship the way God intends it to be. Desiring that is not wrong. But if you're not married, desiring it is dangerous. And pursuing it and falling prey to it is a problem. In fact, the Bible calls any kind of relations between men and women prior to marriage or outside of marriage as sin. And so we have to be careful and avoid sexual sin. But is there pleasure in that sexual relationship? Of course there is. But if it's truly going to be something that blossoms into beauty, if it's truly going to become something that honors the heart of God, and is something that God smiles upon and blesses, it's got to be in the bounds of marriage. That's the way God has established it to be. Desire it outside of marriage is normal. To go get it outside of marriage is sin. There's pleasure in it, but it's wrong. And it puts us on a path of destruction. I know it doesn't seem like that. Step 1. By step 17, 18, and 19, you're going to find it out. And that's the way that this reality plays out. We have to learn to avoid just focusing on the pleasure of the moment that we'll be missing if we live in obedience to God. Finally, the devil's going to make sin, that which we don't have, and the pleasure that is out there for us if we just follow through with this sin, look so good. Look so good. I mean, after all, if it looks bad, believe me, we wouldn't be going after it, right? I mean, if this just doesn't look fun, we're not going. But we want to pursue that which we think is going to be fun, that which we think is going to make us feel good, it's going to be pleasurable. If it looks nasty, we're not going to go after it. But if it looks fun, we're going to pursue it. So the devil's going to make sin look fun. And often it's an easy job for him to do.